Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my presentation today. My name is Julia Gawitz, and today I will be discussing women in tech and exploring the disparities in representation of women in the tech industry, as well as the implications of that. In the latter half of the 20th century and into the early 21st century, we witnessed a significant rise in the labor force participation of educated women. Between 1970 and 2019, the proportion of women aged 25 to 64 with a college degree quadrupled. By 2019, women made up 51.8% of those employed in management, professional, and related occupations. This rise in women's labor force participation coincided with rapid technological advancement. However, despite societal progress and increased education among women, women remain underrepresented in tech roles. Research shows that women held just 35% of tech jobs at the end of 2023, despite slightly outnumbering men in the overall US population. This project aims to delve deeper into this disparity to uncover potential biases against women in the tech industry. Are women less interested in tech, or are there systemic barriers limiting their representation? Understanding this is crucial because a lack of diversity in tech could hinder innovation and progress, which impacts us all. On an individual level, women who work or aspire to work in tech may face challenges due to underrepresentation. On a broader scale, evidence suggests that diverse workplaces lead to better problem solving, innovation, and growth. If women continue to be underrepresented, the tech industry risks losing valuable perspectives and skills. There are already initiatives tackling this disparity, but we will see in a moment that we also have a ways to go. For my analysis, I use data from three main sources. The first source is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or the BLS's API, and this provided data on median salaries for men and women in tech beginning in 2000 and spanning to 2023. The second data source I used was a Stack Overflow survey. This data set included thousands of responses covering basic information such as demographics, job history, salary, skills, to things like job satisfaction, satisfaction with managers, faith in manager or faith or confidence in managers, um, skills used on the job, skills known, and so on. And finally, the last source I used was an employment data set from Kaggle, which included 70,000 job applicants and their demographics, such as previous salary, tech skills that they know, years of coding on the job, age, mental health status, and so on. I included some key exploratory findings from the data set here. So we can see some insights, which are the top chart, the top bar chart above, shows the confidence by gender. So both men and women reported similar trends in self-confidence at work. The most common response was a little above average confidence for both groups. However, women were slightly more likely to report average confidence and less likely to report far above average confidence compared to men. The bar chart below that shows career satisfaction by gender. Most respondents were either very satisfied or slightly satisfied with their careers, and patterns were pretty consistent across genders. There didn't seem to be any huge disparities here. Finally, on the right, we see median salaries. So the BLS data showed that men have consistently earned higher median salaries in tech compared to women since 2000. And not only that, but the gap has widened over time, which we can see from the chart, the line chart on the right. And there was a slight exception in 2017 where median salary for women briefly surpassed men, but in general, we see a trend of sort of differentiating between men and women. Some other interesting insights were starting age for coding. So men reported starting to code at a median age of 14, while for women it was slightly older at 16. And this suggests that men are introduced to coding earlier than women are. Another interesting statistic was toxic work environments. So 16.8% of women reported experiencing a toxic work environment compared to 13.8% of men. And this highlights a gender disparity in workplace experiences. And finally, technical skills. So, on average, women reported slightly fewer technical skills than men. So, this was referring to the sort of number, the total number of skills that they knew, including things like Python, and different languages, as well as different databases, SQL, and so on. And so here we can see some of the results from the models implemented. So I implemented several machine learning models to analyze the data, and the features were more or less the same for each model, give or take a few depending on the nature of the model and the data that it required. And so the first model, it would be categorical naive Bayes. So this one performed with an accuracy of 0.63%. This model correctly predicted men and women with about equal accuracy. So the model predicted the label man 63% of the time correctly and woman 64% of the time. The next model I implemented was a decision tree, and this model had the highest accuracy at um, 0.81 or 81% accuracy. And so the root node was identified as years of coding experience. And so that was sort of identified as the most significant feature in the decision tree for differentiating man and woman labels. And so this root node was such that if the years of coding were less than or equal to 6.5 years, the associated label or the predicted label was woman. And if the years of coding was greater than 6.5, the predicted label was man. Of note, we did have, or I included another feature that was years of professional coding experience. And so this one was just years of coding. So total years of coding, including potentially coding as a hobby, or coding as a job, just all years of coding. And so finally, we have logistic regression. So this one performed pretty similarly to categorical naive Bayes with an accuracy of 65%. And so this model correctly predicted the man label 66% of the time and correctly predicted the woman label 53% of the time. And so I also just mentioned some of the features that were included here, which was level of education, current employment status, mental health status, years of professional coding, previous salary. And so these models sort of indicate that these features are meaningful differentiators between men and women in tech. All of these models had accuracy which were higher than zero point 0.5, so that would be like flipping a coin for man or woman. So this shows that these features are significant between men and women in the tech industry, and that there is sort of a meaningful differentiation between these classes. And so these differences are evident in many things that as we've seen. So confidence levels, workplace satisfaction, exposure to toxic environments, skill sets, and salaries. And so these models suggest that systemic factors, such as earlier exposure to coding and years of experience, are sort of significant, as far as contributing to these disparities go. And so some key takeaways. So as I said, there is meaningful variation between the man and woman classes in the data. As shown by the models, they were able to predict man or woman based on the features better than a coin flip would. And so, what are the next steps that we can do? Well, I think that we need to focus on addressing these disparities with targeted initiatives. And so, encouraging earlier exposure to coding for women and girls in STEM at a younger age may help close the gap. Something that was significant is years of experience and age of first coding. And so, this might help sort of bridge that gap by getting girls engaged at a younger age. We can also focus on creating more inclusive work environments, which includes ensuring that there is, a reduced toxicity for men and women. We can work on ensuring pay equity and representation in leadership roles. And by doing so, the tech industry can unlock its full potential and create a more equitable future for all. Overall, we have come so far, but we still have quite a ways to go here. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my report. I hope that this presentation has shed light on some of the challenges that women face in the tech industry and the steps that we can take to overcome them. So thank you.